It's a long road to trod along and a mighty long way to go. Many have gone astray. The hands of life, take my hand and help me walk upright. Come hold my hand and keep I forever right. Though I've been a disobedient child.
The first compelling visual is the landmark Gros Piton. The second is its topography. Choiseul comprises a series of ridges, each one with its own character and its own history. Choiseul is a vast expanse on St. Lucia's southwest coast, from Aslivoine at the foot of Gros Piton to Balambouche in the south to Saltibus in the interior. Amerindians were the first known settlers, attracted by the mystical powers of the Pitons. First the peaceful Arawaks, then the warring Caribs who violently displaced them. Carib Point or La Pointe became their home and their last known settlement. Agnes Jean-Baptiste, a Carib descendant, still lives in the area once used by the Caribs as an active seaport. His mother, a Carib, told many stories of their existence at La Pointe. This is the bay where the canoes would beach after a day of fishing, a strategically critical trading point for those sailing from the south, past Soufrière and heading north. This eventually became a major trading post. Farmers would barter agricultural produce for fresh fish.
They would come down with their produce, and right here in this spot where I'm standing, there used to be this huge tamarind tree, which was a very shady one. And they would sit down underneath this tree and watch when the white sails of the sailing boats are coming in. And there they would go down to this Carib Point, and this activity would take place there.
These thatch huts are part of the lingering heritage, but more significantly is the economic legacy. The Caribs were adept at using local material to create their tools of survival. Stone axes, coal pots, clay pots, mats and chairs, and of course fish pots, a legacy handed down from generation to generation. Those traditions have survived to this day in spite of the tumultuous changes that took place right here. European superpowers had arrived looking for new worlds to conquer, and although they fiercely protested, the Caribs stood little chance of stopping the English and French from converting the Choiseul expanse into a series of sugarcane plantations. Slaves were brought in from Africa to work the land, further changing the dynamics and the ethnic makeup of the area. Choiseul was given the name Assiton, or Lime Bay in English, because lime trees were in abundance. Eventually, it would become known as Choiseul after César Gabriel de Choiseul, a French foreign affairs minister. Both the French and the English who eventually took ownership of St. Lucia maintained the sugarcane plantations. The sugarcane is now gone, and in its place a scarred landscape and the remnants of windmills. Through it all, the dominating European powers, plantation upheavals and tough plantation life, the Carib traditions survived, outlasting the plantation. Choiseul is probably the only St. Lucian community that has retained as much of its cultural heritage, and it made a brisk living of the traditional skills handed down from generation to generation. The community supplied the entire country with traditionally made coal pots, cooking pots, brooms, chairs, placemats, and many more of its creations. Most were shipped daily to Castries from this jetty in Choiseul.
And this was where the center of economic activity was for Choiseul at that time. That's why the village was very active and everything.
The craft producers lived on the many ridges that comprise the Choiseul landscape. In what is a most fascinating arrangement, each ridge somehow specialized in producing a particular kind of craft, an informal arrangement that continues to this day. This is a very unique feature about Choiseul. It is believed that the availability of material may have determined where certain craftwork originated. A lot of the work using screw pine is done in Reunion and Lafargue. We're talking here of an inventory of trays, baskets, lunch boxes and wine baskets. La Pointe and Monsieur are known for clay products, coal pots, flower vases, ornaments, cooking pots and soap dishes, to name a few. In Montrouge and Martin, you'll find furniture makers, making dining chairs, bar stools, children's chairs and sofas. There are a number of producers who incorporate madras with the straw from the Debray area. They produce hats, bags, folders and dolls, among a very long list of items. Victoria, Dakite and Bellevue are well known for producing a range of baskets, to include laundry baskets, waste paper baskets and shopping baskets. Most of the work coming from Café involves the use of the couscous grass. They make placemats, floor mats and rugs. This division of labor has worked well, making Choiseul a giant factory with various production lines across communities. This shack has been around for many decades and today continues to be one of the main locations used for the production of clay products. Mary Leo Clifford was born in that shack and from the age of 15 took active interest in learning to make clay products, as her mom, who is still with her and who had done for many years before her.
C'est moi qui ai pilé bali, café, et moi dit un jour moi dit que moi pour en planche tout, moi garder ça café ya, moi mets en légère moi, et moi caver la main, tout ça il fait moi fait.
The mother and daughter team have worked together for decades. Mary's mom became her midwife, delivering her 5 children. Today they share a special bond, cemented by the love for pottery.
So il est avec moi, as a compagne, il a supporté moi, avec maman là, moi là et puis existe toujours. Moi ni 5 riches, sans la main moi fait tout, il a aidé moi, moi il a aidé tout le monde a gagné, et aujourd'hui moi c'est moi qui l'a aidé.
Producing clay products is tough work, but Mary and her mom have been doing it for years, actually earning a subsistence living off of it.
They can monter descendre cas suivant, chaya bo machine, chaya bo truck, van. Bon actuellement, pas ni mouvement encore comme avant. Bah slow.
Times changed. Coal pots are no longer a must in most households, and so demand is weak. But Mary has kept working, daily stockpiling a diversified range of products.
Moi-même, je vends des petits bails, c'est vendeuses là. Mais bail slow, je ne peux pas commander encore. So, mon style va continuer. Le délai, différents monde qui crier moi, commander moi. Est-ce que ni tel bail, est-ce que ni tel bail. So, moi juste continuer faire. Mais il a couvert. So, les monde veulent des petits, ils crier moi j'en ai.
Today, Mary has 5 children, and her only daughter, knowing the economic realities firsthand, is simply not interested in keeping the family tradition alive. Not far away is Irene Alphonse, also a potter, who inherited the skills from her mother.
Well, I started with my mother at the age of 9. I was pounding the clay and cleaning it for her. While doing that, I was doing little pots and coal pots, little knickknacks. Yeah, and from there, when I leave school, I went to the crafts center where they used to train young children in pottery, woodwork, straw baskets making. So I was in the pottery side.
Irene produces clay products daily, supplying nearby hotels with a range of items, including hand-painted soap dishes. Irene is aware of the declining interest among the youth and has volunteered to pass on some of her knowledge and skill to the youth in her community at Martin.
Well, if they are interested, I am sitting right here. I can show them how they are doing, how to do it without getting paid.
Emmanuel Alphonse, also of Martin, also known as Blanc, is a furniture maker, having learned from his father from an early age. After leaving school at 15, he took on the craft full-time.
Ça, nous avons un bâtiment, un bâtiment. Après le bâtiment, c'est un choc. Il y a un navigué, nous avons un choc. So, actuellement, je ne pas aller pièces côté ça encore. Donc, moi, ici, pas comme tout le monde qui est qui est d'ailleurs, ça qui pas ni à faire mettre là des même ça m'a fait aller venir. Bohani, on va continuer à acheter.
Lawrence Deligny has been a sculptor for 35 years, working from the community of Bellevue in Choiseul. He supplies work regularly to a hotel in the nearby Soufrière community.
Though it was very hard, it's still hard up to now, but I like the trade and I find a lot of pleasure in it, The way I earn money from it is because, I have a little contract with Anchasley. I do works for them, like give them a portion of work every month. I produce things like wedding gifts, so they give to people who married at the hotel. So, I make a little money. I make a living out of it. But more could have been done, but I have to satisfied with whatever I'm doing now.
This is grown wild. That's the cuscus grass. The screw pine also grow wild. With this one, I bake it in an outside oven for about 3 hours, and then I bleach it. It will take a day to bleach it. With this one, which is also screw pine, it's dry on the tree, so I just pick it on the tree.
Daphne Stephen uses screw pine and couscous grass to produce a range of baskets and mats. She too learned from her mother from the age of 8, and today worries about the lack of interest by today's generation in continuing the art form. Clement Henry is well known for his production of flower baskets, waste paper baskets, shopping baskets, laundry baskets, and bassinets for babies. He started at the age of 14, but is now too old to make the trek to Monjimi, St. Lucia's highest peak, to collect material for making these baskets.
I'm 75 years à présent. Moi passe à travel. Aller là pour matériaux à moi porter.
Since that is new work, so it's kind of light.
Luceline Modeste is an experienced batik artist who produces work mainly for the tourist industry.
They like a lot of parrots, they like the butterflies, they like our piton, our natural flowers. The parrots, they like the hummingbird, they like the turtles, the dolphins, the sharks, they like fishes and most of our natural things.
There are many more creators throughout the length and breadth of Choiseul. There is a shoemaker who also produces a range of leather products. He makes the traditional drums used by folk groups in the community. Jean Cooper is well known in the community of Café for using the couscous grass in making table mats, floor mats, and a range of other decorative and functional products. Probably the best known son of the soil is Sabinus Thomas, himself a creator who started a small business in Choiseul distributing the work of artisans. Today he has been established in business. Liberty Art Studio, located just a few miles north of Soufrière along the highway linking the West Coast tourism enclave with Castries. In Saltibus, Delia Isaac has established her own company, producing a range of clothing items, all utilizing local themes, and some of her creations incorporating the use of locally made handicraft. Her main markets are the hotels in the south of the island. Delia also produces school uniforms and designs work uniforms for some hotels in the north. Delia is a US-trained designer who has now taken an additional role of mobilizing the arts and craft producers throughout the length and breadth of the Choiseul community. The arts and craft industry has served Choiseul well, but the industry has not developed as it should and not kept pace with changes in the market. Today, the Office of Private Sector Relations, the OPSR, through a program called Stride, is developing a marketing and business promotion campaign for the arts and craft industry. Stride is the acronym for Strengthening Trade through Rural Investments and Development of Entrepreneurship. OPSR has recognized the potential of the arts and craft industry in Choiseul, and specifically for women, who form the majority of crafters in that community. OPSR believes that the uniqueness of Choiseul and its reputation as the arts and craft capital of St. Lucia is well placed to develop and promote its own unique brand of craftwork for local, regional and international markets.
And this one here is the headboard, which is designed with, how you call this, heliconia.
Choiseul already produces handicraft of a very high quality and certainly the widest variety on the island. Creativity here knows no bounds. What is required now are the markets and the business knowledge and skill to find, develop and satisfy those markets.
What you have is the crafters now producing what they feel they can sell or what they are accustomed of doing, not playing heed to the market demand. And the present project which is put on through OPSR is to assist the crafters to understand that when they're producing the goods, they must have the market in mind.
What's lacking in the industry is the knowledge of business. The people who create the craft have no knowledge of how to create a production for business. They can do 1 or 2 pieces, and if you want a large quantity for a store, then it becomes a problem because they don't have the raw materials on hand and perhaps they don't have people to help them, and that's really the problem.
The OPSR is working with a group called CATCH, the Choiseul Association of Craft and Heritage Tourism. The objective is to find ways of revitalizing the craft industry, defining a brand for Choiseul craft, and exploring marketing strategies, including the use of e-commerce.
Most of the crafters are depending on the craft for livelihood, but they don't see it as a business. They don't know how to advertise themselves. They know nothing about promotion.
We've done the same thing over years and years in the very same way. We need to be a bit more creative. We need to show people that we can use these things. We need to begin to consider glazing them and improvising them.
They can take that basket and redesign it because we want all other things. We don't just want a basket. We want baskets to put sandwiches. We want picnic baskets, you know. So they can recreate. They can take a couple of designs and establish a whole line.
I believe we should go for smaller products, even beads, for example, that people would buy. And we need to look at the market, what people are willing to spend money on, and not what we enjoy making.
When tourists come into our island, they're looking for something to take back to their country. And of course they want something locally made.
This one is a collaboration with a lady from Choiseul called Daphne. We do the calabash part and she does the straw weaving. And she does a beautiful job. So we've been able to sell quite a few of these because it's not just one person's work. It's about 3 people involved in making the final product.
The new approach also calls for the incorporation of new technology to make it less arduous, more precise, and maybe more appealing to uninterested youth.
We need to put in some new technology into the craft sector. It is still being done the traditional way, and young people are attracted to technology, and probably with the input of some form of technology, probably that may encourage young people to do.
You can use the computer to embellish your art, to color it, to see what it's going to look like prior to putting that piece of art on. So they can take a picture of a raw pottery, put it on the computer, and create some kind of coloring design to see if it will work first. And then you can get an idea of what that piece of pottery will look like.
E-commerce is already being used by some artisans to sell their products online. The OPSR project is assisting Choiseul in upgrading its website to facilitate that e-commerce.
They will create for us a website where the crafters can identify and sell their product online. That's one of the first things. We're also going to have an international fair to introduce Choiseul as the place to come for all St. Lucians, all Caribbean people to come in to buy their craft or to view what is the latest in craft.
These students should be the future for the arts and craft industry in Choiseul. They are talented and creative and fully aware of the craft tradition in the community, but are not inspired to follow in the footsteps of their parents.
Rude Boy Reality. With a Biggie Smalls literary philosophy and the Tupac Shakur immortal imagery, Rude Boy life is a harsh reality, an enumeration of the living in a color-clad prophecy.
Stephen Dantes, performance poet, is from Choiseul. He is multi-talented, an author, artist, and web designer. He appreciates the value of the craft industry, but sees no direct future in it for him.
I was just fascinated by it because the amount of time and skill that was injected into that, I mean, it's just amazing. It's amazing. But it's not something that I really wanted to do because, I mean, I loved it, I was fascinated by it, but I knew that I wouldn't have the time and the patience for it. I probably didn't have the skill for it too, you know.
The art and craft, especially the craft in itself, doing the raw work, the clay, the straw, and the carving of wood and all of that. The young people see that as you know, hard labor. Another reason I believe is that they don't see the kind of economic benefits in that. Because the basket, making the basket and taking it to the market to sell, there's not much to them. There's not much funds generated from that.
I mean, and when you kind of like analyze this with the time it takes to do it, the returns from it, you realize that persons would generally move to something else because it would, I mean, they have to do a lot. They have to market themselves, they have to get the skill, they have to spend the time, and it is something that I would say that a lot of persons in St. Lucia itself don't appreciate.
You know, money has a big part to play, you know. If you had an incentive where, you know, that looks favorable, you know, you're getting a good monies, then you could have remain with, you know, the youth could have stay with the culture and do it. But you need a big amount. The youths are going out for more money right now. So we need to put in something in place in terms of monies, because money is the problem. You know, that's why we leave our roots, we leave our culture, we leave our healthy lifestyle, and we're looking for money.
You heard the crafters say their children see how hard they work, how difficult it is to work. The young children do not want to go into that. But if something can be done, and products have been produced, market, and they can see, you know, some kind of heavy returns to their parents, it will encourage the young children.
There is a proposal from CATCH, the Choiseul Association of Craft and Heritage Tourism, to get active arts and craft programs in schools throughout Choiseul. Currently, the only exposure the students have is through their visual arts program.
The young people are very interested in craft making, but no one has really taken them and shown them what really is involved in craft making, because they don't really have to sit and weave the basket. They can go and find the raw material for the person who's weaving. That's a business in itself.
The economic potential in Choiseul is huge. The community has an arts and craft industry that is waiting to be developed and properly marketed. In addition, there is natural beauty, culture, and history. There is evidence throughout Choiseul of its colonial past and the extent of the sugar cultivation that took place here. This picturesque windmill is one of the many used by the sugar factories. Watermills were also used. This one on the Balambush estate is a tourist attraction. There is a lot of history associated with this hydro-powered sugar factory at Balambush, along with a plantation house which is over 100 years old. Choiseul also has other historical sites, including this Anglican church at Riviera-Dore, established by missionaries 164 years ago.
History has it that it was built by the Alexander family, who were missionaries way back in 1846. These people were also associated with education, and if you notice, there's a school right next door that was also built sometime later under the Micro Charity Grant. One of the first schools again built in St. Lucia.
In the Choiseul village is Our Lady of Lourdes Church. Talk of its construction began in 1898 by Father René Roger, who devoted his entire life to the Choiseul community. The funds and materials for building the church came from the community. The fundraising began in 1899, and by 1914, construction costs totaled £2,410 sterling.
Hello, welcome to La Maison Kirol. My name is Teresa Pascal.
Teresa Pascal has converted every inch of a home into a museum.
You have the black pots where we used to fry the fish cakes. This one was used to stew the pork or the beef, whatever, chicken. This one is also for fish cakes. These are for fish and sauce.
She has used her 30 years of experience working in museums in Europe to create this, a fascinating collection of all kinds of artifacts imaginable.
I love flowers, so as you will see around, all around have flowers. I love orchids. That's a lovely orchid. And here is the house my dad and I built.
Choiseul also offers a combination of outdoor experiences, including picnic areas at Sabusha Beach to Pi Beach, once heavily sun-mined, and now restored by an entrepreneurial resident. This once stony beach is now developed with facilities catering to residents and visitors.
Now we have a number of visitors coming to, take a lime on the beach, relax on the beach, coming to visit the spot. So it's been different. The community itself is quite happy, and they've acknowledged the difference and want to be a part of it.
Choiseul also provides scenic forest walks where one can admire the beauty of the natural environment. This forest area called Bois Magasin is also home to the St. Lucian parrot, the Amazona versicolor. This area is also home to a number of spectacular waterfalls. This one is in the heights of Saltibus. Access is yet to be fully developed, but obviously these are spectacular attractions with unlimited potential. Choiseul as a community is well poised for major development. The objective of OPSR through STRIDE is to refocus and energize the craft industry.
We're hoping at the end of the project, Choiseul will have a special brand for its product. So wherever you are, once you purchase the product, you know that's a Choiseul.
Choiseul is already established as the island's leading producer of arts and craft. It has an active youthful population. Some of its athletes have done St. Lucia proud and are poised to do a lot more. Choiseul is self-sufficient with a well-developed fishing tradition and obviously well served by fish vendors. The fishing industry is vibrant with fishermen supplying to major hotels throughout the south and the north of the island. Choiseul also has a rich agricultural tradition, from sugarcane plantations of the past to hillside farms with yields that adequately provide for its food security and potential for supplying markets outside of the village. Women too are actively involved in farming. Christina Sonson is one of the leading farmers.
I do yams, tomatoes, cabbages, seasoned pepper, salad beans, plantain, tanya, cassava.
Irrigation infrastructure is being installed in the Delce community to benefit over 70 farmers who need to diversify into a variety of crops but need a reliable water supply throughout the year.
That system will guarantee the farmers a continuous supply throughout the dry season.
Choiseul is truly a unique community. Its small population is scattered over many ridges, each with its own distinctive character. It's a community that grows its own food, produces its own furniture, cooking utensils, ornaments, craftwork, and sustains the legacy of its indigenous people. Choiseul gives an experience that is exceptional. It is the epicenter of creativity, the final home of Amerindian settlers, and the pride of St. Lucia. Come visit, explore and experience. By visiting, sampling the life, and purchasing local craft from Choiseul, you sustain the custodians of our tradition. Celebrate Choiseul, and you celebrate a people's creativity and the island patrimony.
Though I've been a disobedient child, stay with me more than just a while. My God, embrace me, the hands of life, don't desert me.